What's up, Treehouse Tribe, Heart Pirates TCG watchers, and Worst Generation enjoyers.
Enthusiasts.
Yeah, I got. You won't see it on the screen, but I'm making a tier list, and we got Evan from Worst Generation podcast.
Hello.
And then we got Joey from the Heart Pirates TCG himself. How's it going?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
And I'm trying to sit here and do a little bit of content copying because these two people recently made their tier list, as you can see on my screen. We got the Worst Generation. Subscribe to them.
Y'all had a whole gang do that. I didn't see that video.
Yeah,
I should watch it.
They like the gang there. People say that the best part about it is hearing all of us scream at each other about how we're wrong.
Yeah, that actually looks like a lot of fun. I'm gonna watch that after this, actually.
That's good. And Joey's tier list from a bit ago. Yeah, you guys have said some pretty stuff, man. Like, look at this. Is this Blurple, Kaido, and Croc in what is your S tier? And
I'm willing to take out Blurple Croc, but I'm keeping Blurple Kaido on there, bro. I think Blurple Kaido is fucking insane.
And then you guys got Big Mom way up here. Nami. I don't know. Dofi, even Dofi's sus. I don't know. All right, let's.
What?
Absolutely.
Dofi A tier. All right, hold on. We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
All right.
Now, do you want to just go left to right? Do you want to kind of like pick and?
Let's do colors, and let's start with the big horseman in the room. We'll start with Queen, Crocodile, Yamato, and where's the other one? Crocodile. Big Mom. All right, let's just order yellow first.
All right, who wants to start this off?
I would put Yamato and Arlong down one, and then everything else would be the same. Honestly,
I would put yeah. I would actually put Arlong at D tier.
Oh, really? All right.
I like Arlong.
Well, what are we considering D tier? Are we considering that like king?
We'll say yeah. I think D is like you're not even gonna win locals with it.
Okay, yeah. So Arlong's definitely above that then, yeah.
Yeah.
And so obviously I think Katakuri is by far the best of the yellow decks right now. Just the 7K swing is just really, really, really good. But I and obviously access to Big Mom is great. I think Lin, the starter deck, is actually worse than Katakuri in my personal opinion, and I would put it at A, and I'd put it in the exact place you have it, right below Queen.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I think that it's like not as good as Katakuri, but at the same time you get access to 10 drop Big Mom and then the same card pool, so it's just like a minor difference in leader effect, and it's not even like a bad leader either. So
yeah, the only difference is Katakuri makes you discard like 2Ks like a lot, and then Big Mom doesn't really gain the aggression that Katakuri gets, and so I think it's just overall worse.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Like, I've played a lot of like the Yamato and the Arlong, especially Wano Arlong. Like being able to set up like double attackers, it sounds busted, but at the end of the day, you're still just like a 4-drop leader. And then on top of that, like that goes for also Crocodile. I feel like just his effect's cool, but like just being a 4-life leader, being 1 card down, and the whole time, like yeah, you can heal it back, but like you're just not fast enough to deal with Whitebeard. And go ahead.
Played a lot of it actually. Garrett, my teammate, and purple like the blue, purple, yellow stuff. It just feels like a slightly worse Queen, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm trying to build it more aggressive, but it's just not working the way that I want it to.
Oh right, yeah. There's the black yellow Big Mom. Where do you guys put the black?
I think it's probably in the same tier as like I think it's at the very end of A tier, at the top of B tier, because like I think the black color pool is really good. It still has access to 10 cost Big Mom, and it got like Sabo and Sanji included this set, so like it has a lot of stall. It still has access to Big Mom, and it still has like just almost as good of a grind as Queen, except for you have to discard a card rather than just like its effect is easier to get off than Queen's. But Queen obviously is better. So I think Big Mom, Black Yellow Big Mom is probably at the very end of A tier, maybe top of B tier. What do you think?
I would put it more towards B tier. I think just being a 4-life leader that has like such a high cost requirement to heal. Like Queen is also a 4-life leader, but its healing capabilities is a lot better. And the fact that it's blue, I think blue got a huge buff this format. And it like
that's something I want to get into though. Like you really liked Queen, and like
I almost played that in Knoxville.
Yeah, no, I even play tested your build of it a little bit, and it had such a good loft matchup. You had Worst Generation put it at A tier. Joey, you put it at
I don't know. I forgot to put the logo on there, but I said in the video I put it at I don't know what it's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Because I could see it losing to a lot of things, but I could also see it beating a lot of things. But I'm ready to say it's about A tier now. I think it has a very high ceiling, but a pretty low floor.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So the question there is like, we just had Knoxville happen. We had the big Eggman event happen, and Queen I don't think topped either event. Right.
Had a really low
Queen got 32nd actually at the Knoxville event.
Yes, it did make a top 32 at Knoxville.
Yeah, okay, it actually made it top 16 because it beat Rebecca. So Queen got top 16. Oh,
okay, but like still like why only one, right? Like because we'll get into this with like Dofi and Rebecca too, right? Because in Knoxville only 2 Rebeccas topped. I don't think any Dofis did. Maybe one Dofi top.
2 or no, I think 2 or 3 topped. You talking about Grape Dofi?
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 topped.
Yeah, my first 4 rounds of that event, I played 3 Dofis.
And what was your record? Did you beat them all?
No, I lost my very first round of Dofi because I bricked on high end, and then my 4 life was both all high end. So he just swung 5 at me a bunch, and I couldn't guard any of it.
Oh, that's unfortunately.
Yeah. And I was gonna say too, that's probably a tough matchup too, because like when he drops 10 drop, it's like your leader literally can't like do its effect.
I was playing Katakuri that day, but
okay, yeah. That's also a tough matchup too, though, because he can just wall off with a bunch of blockers and stuff. But yeah, Queen. I think Queen is pretty good, but you can definitely brick with the hand. With your
You're
hands.
running a lot of non-counters, right? You got the Mihawks, you got the Yamatos, you got the...
It's not as much as you think, actually. Like, you have your high end, but you also have, like, what is that, like 12 non-counters, and the rest are counters, and you're playing a ton of blockers in that deck as well.
Yeah.
And then with the Peronas and Dofis being able to stack your deck, you know what you're going to be drawing for the next few turns. Like, it's honestly not as bad as you think it is at the end of the day.
So what does it do? You just feel like it has a hard time against, like, so that's the thing, right? Like I saw like, well, let me just bring up, like, Rebecca and Queen were the 2 big decks that I felt like a lot of people were saying like Law is going to lose to. So we'll probably go into red. Let's get into some red now. Like Law was supposed to lose to not only Rebecca, to Queen, to even Dofi. Like at least I maybe not Dofi, but like you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I don't think that Law automatically loses to Queen because it can be like such a fast, aggressive deck.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was gonna say the same thing. So, like Law's just ability to just like out tempo you he can just beat any deck just outright if he draws well, and they're a good pilot of the deck. So I think Queen can beat Law, and I've beaten plenty of Laws with Queen. But you know, at the end of the day, like it still is like anytime you play against Law, it's scary because you're like, damn, do they draw all 3 searchers and just like high roll me out the game, or do you know like what kind of game is this going to be? And you could usually tell within the first like 3 or 4 turns like what kind of game it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely think that Queen's like red matchup isn't the greatest, which is what keeps it from going up to S tier. I do think it's pretty good against everything else, but
I think Queen loses to Whitebeard too. You can beat it because like you can keep gaining life, but like if they go like Atmos into Luffy into like Ace, it's just like so hard to like.
I think you just have to see your blue half of the deck against Whitebeard, because I think Whitebeard has a bad blue matchup. So if you're able to like curve out into like 3,000 Worlds Red Rock Mihawk, then you're going to be sitting in a pretty good space against them.
Yeah.
But if you're sitting there on like blocker yellow stuff, and then like you have to play a Katakuri against them, then you're not going to be in the greatest position.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah, if you're seeing like your brulees in hand and like none of your blue stuff, then it's going to be very tough. That's why I said like it can beat red, but you have to kind of draw pretty well to do it. At least Whitebeard, it can beat Zoro pretty easily, I think.
So let's have the Whitebeard talk then, because clearly, like, Whitebeard is still best deck of the format, right? Like, I put it immediately to the top of S, and then Zoro's right next. I think Zoro versus Katakuri is like pretty 50-50, it feels like.
I think Katakuri is probably the second best deck in the game right now.
Yeah.
So
Either that or Law.
I think Zoro is like A tier right now. Honestly, I know you just said that you think the Katakuri matchup is 50-50, but I think Katakuri has like a 70-30 win rate against Zoro.
I completely agree. Yeah, I agree. I think Zoro got worse. Katakuri got better, and then also I think Whitebeard should be banned. I think it's time for it to go. The leader.
I think so too, but I don't think they'll ban a leader, especially with the new like showings of what they're doing.
Yeah,
they have
probably
all
not.
the new Whitebeard stuff. They just released that gift box with the alter Whitebeard as like something you can purchase. I think they have zero plans of banning that leader anytime soon.
I agree with you. I just want to say it in every video I can, just because like I'm just hoping someone will listen, because it's been it's gonna be 3 formats in a row of just like Whitebeard dominance, and I just don't see it going away anytime soon. So I think it's time to get some new. I think Whitebeard should be banned, and I think 10 cost Big Mom should be put to 1 or 2.
That's my argument. If they get rid of, because that's what I'm afraid of right now, like Whitebeard is dominant, and like the dominance got like a little nerfed in Knoxville, but I feel like that's just because everyone was trying the new stuff. I think the next big tournament we're just gonna see the wave of Whitebeard come in again, just because like I know there's like the big art. What was the day one of the format? Everyone's learning, and like I personally don't buy that. Personally, I'm like, we've known about these cards for months. We've had the sim for months, right? Like, to tell me that someone wasn't practiced with Queen or Dofi or Rebecca yet, or like didn't know about it, like I don't know. I think call that
the
bluff.
reason. I think the reason is some people's lists were so bad going into this event. Like they're like playing like troll cards in some of their lists that I've seen. I'm not talking about Top Cut, but like some of the other lists that I saw from like a couple of my other friends that were
like kind of
going around. Yeah, like people were playing like weird like cards just for fun. So like I think as the format gets more optimized, I think Green Purple Dofi is great into Whitebeard and great into Katakuri. So I automatically think it's at least in A tier, and there's an argument for it to be an S tier. I think that the more Green Purple Dofis that are going to be running around with optimal lists, the less Law. I think it's good into Law too, because it plays Sugar and Punk Gibson, so like it rests a lot of cards and can slow you down a little bit. On top of just the 10 drop being able to like, it doesn't do as much as it does other decks, but 10 drop being able to slow you down a little bit too, as well as Uta and stuff. So I think less of those will be topping the more Dofis that we see, but you know, people got to play more Dofi to get to that result.
I don't really agree with Katakuri having a really bad matchup into Dofi. For the most part, unless I like hard brick, I win that matchup with Katakuri versus Dofi a lot. You just have to like play it right, in my opinion.
What's playing it right in your opinion?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that for you?
Like, because a lot of the time Dofi's whole thing is that their defense is entirely events. So when they leave the 2 open, you're like, okay, they can block one of these attacks. So I think Katakuri is really, really good at swinging for 7, like 3 or 4 times a turn. And then the Doflamingo player is sitting there with like their 1 event of the turn, and then like maybe a couple 1k counters that they really want to play next turn anyway, so they can't like afford to get rid of it. And you can aggro them out really early in.
I can see. So I've seen a couple games where it is like that, but I've also seen a few games as well, and I've also been playing Green Purple Dofi, where my list is a little bit different, and you know I can wall off, and then obviously with Guild to Suru, like you can save 2 Dawn, and then technically you're at 4 Dawn. You have 2 events, and that could be a Spiderweb for a double block. It could be a Punk Gibson. So. From what I've experienced, I've been beating most of the Katakuris that I play with Green Purple Dofi, but there's obviously Katakuri is like a very high rolly deck, so it can definitely beat Green Purple Dofi.
Yeah,
but I like Dofi in that matchup personally.
Yeah, for me, I'm a Dofi hater. Like if it was up to me, like I'd put it at the bottom of B. Like I know a lot of people are hyped for it, but like to me, like the strongest thing the Dofi deck does is play Guild Tesoro. And if your deck doesn't answer it by the time it swings twice, like not then you're struggling. But like other than that, like sure they flood blockers are a little bit, but like I don't know, man. Like I'm not convinced by like how like good this deck is. Like it almost.
I honestly don't think people have found the right list for the deck yet. I don't think the film list is like that amazing. I think it's like good enough to show up to with an event with and do okay with, but I definitely think that deck has yet to find like the list.
Damn, like we're at an impasse here because I think the deck is like crazy consistent. I think like if you don't deal with their Guilt to Suru, like by the time it gets its first attack off, then you're like in a super bad spot. And then, you know, with the value it gets from all of its cards, like it get from the Nami and then from like Spiderweb with Uta, like there's just even with Sugar, like you drop Sugar behind like the film Luffy, the blocker, it's like so hard to get off the board, so you're always like resting one free thing every turn. And man, like I think the deck is such a menace right now. I would definitely put it like I'd put Law in S tier right now as well, but I'd definitely put it at the best in A tier and maybe S tier. You know, I'm personally my opinion. Dofi, yeah. But I'd put Law in S tier right now.
Got you. Okay. I don't know. I just personally I can't put Law up there. Just like, and I know we're bouncing all over the place, and I don't know, I like that style, but like Law, for example, like I just feel like you just have so many matchups you just kind of lose. Like Law like has a real hard time against blue and purple. We're just like conveniently not like none of the blue or black. That has a hard time against black, green, and blue, which have historically been colors that have been like pushed down a lot. Like in set 1, I played a ton of Law, and I know you did too, Joey, and I like it had a really hard time against Green Kid. Right, like that was the deck that kept Law down the whole entire time.
I also don't think people knew how to play Law back then.
Really?
Yeah, because like, well, also that version of Law like kind of sucked, like the Wano version. But like this new Law, like since set 2, I think is like really good, and I don't think it loses to Green as much anymore. But like in combination with Sugar, Punk Gibson, and Uta, I think that Dofi definitely can beat Law.
I think Law is really good, and honestly, I think Law was supposed to win Knoxville, and then because of like things that had nothing to do with the tournament, it didn't win Knoxville.
I can see that too.
Yeah, there was a couple like sus things happening with people either dropping the DQs,
two people like dropped pretty much.
Yeah. So Fern, he's one of my friends that's like kind of part of the worst generation. He was the top 8 player that got with Law. He is not in that video right now.
Yeah, he's not.
I met him at Gen Con, actually.
He had to drop after winning to get into the top 8 because everyone else in his group had to go home, and he was forced to drop and go home. He did not lose his match.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And his matchup spread in top 8 was really favorable for him to win that event.
It was like Whitebeard into basically Whitebeard, right?
Yeah.
That was the other thing too. A lot of people were saying, like in the top 32, like a lot of the non-red decks played each other, so they ended up just kind of knocking each other out, which kind of made the tournament look way more.
I know Zoro won that event, but I think Zoro just had like an amazing
tournament luck.
Oh, yeah, it just had
yeah, and like also like because like Rebecca, all 3 Rebeccas played like their worst matchups. They played like Queen, Crocodile, and like something else. I forgot what it was, or I think it might have been Katakuri. So like all 3 of those beat Rebecca, and the fact that they played them is just really unfortunate. So yeah, I think if more Whitebeards, because I think Rebecca can beat Whitebeard. So I think if more Whitebeards played Rebecca early on, I think that the tournament could have been a lot different. I think it could go on either way. I think like pretty much any deck except for maybe like Crocodile could have won, because Crocodile has a bad matchup into like most of the top 32 decks.
Yeah, like Rebecca, the person who got Swiss that day undefeated was actually a Rebecca player, and then round 1 they played against Katakuri in Top Cut.
Yeah. Well, no, the round 1 the undefeated guy played against Queen.
Or was it Queen, really? Oh yeah,
it was Queen, and one of the other ones that was like 8-1 played against Katakuri. The 3 Rebeccas played against Croc, Katakuri, and Queen, which is like a nightmare.
That's wild.
Horrible, yeah.
I think Rebecca, since you have it up there, I definitely would put that deck in S tier.
S tier, okay.
Absolutely.
Even though only 3 showed up, like that's still my thing about Knoxville is like we got like 12 Whitebeards.
So little representation of Rebecca in that tournament, though.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah,
It's one of the
just,
highest skill ceiling decks in the game. That with Law, if you're a good player, you're gonna beat like 90% of people unless they're playing like Katakuri, pretty much.
Yeah, I think Rebecca is harder to pilot than Law, to be honest.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
definitely. I could see that. I could see that.
I still don't. Okay, so like just to finish up on the Law thing, like the Law thing is like I feel like Law is one of the most RNG decks, right? Like it's all based on your searchers, and I know like there's like endless people like making content of like, oh, like if you missed on your searchers, you just didn't do your like mental math right. And I'm like, no, that's horseshit. Like,
It's not always like that.
I definitely think it depends on the type of format that we're playing. If you're playing a, what was it, like what Peoria is going to be coming up soon.
Mhm.
Peoria is going to be a best of one tournament, no top cut. I don't
Right.
think Law is going to win that event. But if
Mhm.
you're having a top 32, best of 3 top cut out of there, that's when Laws are going to start winning those events. I definitely do not think Law is the deck to go undefeated in Swiss at any point in time ever. But once you put it into a 2 out of 3 format, the one Law player that was able to make it out in the Swiss will win that event.
Gotcha. Like so,
Yeah,
I
agree
know
with that.
like Cross posted his matchup spread for like that Knoxville tournament, and like he played like one Rebecca, maybe one Queen. Like he didn't play into
Nah,
his
he
bad matchups
dodged
at
them
all,
all.
right? Sounded like he dodged a lot of his bad matchups. And so, do you know what Fern's matchup spread was?
Yeah, one of his only losses was to a Rebecca player.
Right.
Yeah.
It was actually the Rebecca player that went undefeated in Swiss. He lost to him in like
Oh,
round
okay.
7.
That guy played awesome, by the way. I was watching one of his. I was watching like some replays of the game, and man, he was making some great decisions. So good for him, by the way.
Yeah. It's really like a really tough deck to be playing for such a long day too, because
Yeah.
you're making so many micro decisions, and just what you're bottom decking for Luffy is such like a huge thing to think about
Yeah.
as well.
All right. So to finish up red, star deck Luffy B, Ace B,
Oh, put Ace down to C.
Ace down
Yeah,
to
Ace-
C. Okay.
I'd put Ace down to D. Honestly, I think Ace is trash.
No, I wouldn't put it in C tier because you still get access to Rush or Ace and like all of the Whitebeard exclusive stuff. Like you get access to that card pool. Obviously, it's not as good as playing Whitebeard Leader, but just the fact that you get access to such like cards that
Ace can
only
still
that
win a
deck can
local,
play.
right? Like that's kind of what I do
Yeah.
for C. Like
I would be shocked if Ace won a local. To be honest with you,
really, okay.
I'd
Well,
be
I'll put it at
shocked
the
if-
bottom.
I'd be shocked if
I don't
any
know.
one of those cards in C won locals.
I have a
I could see
person
Arlong winning a
that
local.
messages me on a weekly basis to tell me about how he tops his locals and comes in first place with RG Luffy. Because back in set 1, me and Garrett were like the RG Luffy guys experimenting
Oh, yeah.
with that deck. We brought it
It's
to like,
super fun.
regional, and he will message me every week telling me about how well he does it.
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, like the
It depends on the
meta at his
locals.
locals. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say
See some
the locals in
content,
Jacksonville is pretty tough. We got like 5 people who have like top 16 at like regionals and treasure cups. So I probably wouldn't
Oh,
be able
yeah.
to show up with red loot with RG
Now,
Luffy.
our locals is super stacked. You have like me and Garrett, who both are regional champions. You have a bunch of our friends that are all like top 16, top 8 regional
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, it's tough.
Then we have
Very
all the
funny.
Cocoa Florida guys too, right? The Gamers R Us guys that just clap
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah,
The gamers are us, so like Brandon, who's also a top multiple finishes.
Alright.
I got 4th at a case tournament over there in set 1 at Cocoa
Ooh.
Beach.
Ooh.
I was feeling
Alright.
pretty good about myself.
All right, let's move on to blue.
Fuck that deck. Fuck Nami.
All right, so to me, like all the blue decks are like, I don't like I don't.
Okay.
I am not a
Okay.
poker for Ivankov. Ivankov is one.
I never understood this. Ivankov honestly should be in B tier, like end of B tier.
no
I don't-
way.
Ivankov, like Ivankov has access to every card that Crocodile has access to, except for it doesn't bounce. But like in grind games, it's fantastic.
Is it though? No, but like there's gonna like to me like Ivankov can never be higher than C, strictly off the fact that like if you dump your hand, which is the whole point of Ivankov, you're gonna draw two Ivankovs, no counter for the whole turn, and then they're just gonna end you that turn.
I mean, a good Ivankov player doesn't really like dump their hand like willy nilly. You know, like you have access to like the tempo plays, and now you have access to Red Rocket 3000 Worlds. I can definitely see Ivankov like topping at like some regional, like top 32, top 64, something like that. I could see it.
Evan.
I just think that deck is garbage.
I don't know. I mean, I might be on some copium. I don't even like Ivankov in the anime, so I'm not like trying to like defend it.
Yeah.
But I could see it in like, because it's the same thing with Ace. Like, you still have access to the color pool, and Blue got way better this set.
I think Blue definitely got better this set. Just when you're comparing it to the other Blue leaders, though, you're like, oh, Nami, which I don't even consider that. That's its own class. But then you have Crocodile. Its leader effect is really good. It has access to like Miss Sunday and the Baroque work stuff. You have Doflamingo, which is one of the best leaders to be using Red Rock with. You can Red Rock and still use your leader effect that turn. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm still like
I mean, it's definitely one of the worst. I think it is probably the worst of the blue decks, but I think the worst blue deck is better than like Arlong, in my opinion. I don't know. I guess I'm like an Arlong hater.
I might be standing Arlong a little bit, but like I don't know. Arlong can create some pretty gross boards.
I am an Arlong stan. I'll tell you this now.
My brother's an Arlong stan too, and I fucking can't stand Arlong. I don't know what it is. I think that deck is dog shit.
I think Django with and Krieg, any deck that can stand Krieg is gonna be great.
No, like, and I want Sanji to be good. Like, there's a world where you can play like 6-cost Mihawk and the Red Rock in the same turn, and that just sounds so good.
Sanji is in C tier because I think green blue is an insane color combination.
You don't think Sanji himself is like worth?
I think he might have one of the worst leader effects in the game, except for like maybe King.
Yeah. It just requires you to play vanillas, and you don't want to be playing vanillas in your entire deck.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's like cool plays that you can do, and like I said, I think green blue is one of the best color combinations in the game.
Yeah, the Zoro Sanji leader is going to be kind of lit.
Zoro Sanji leader is going to be great. I almost want to I think Sanji would do better if you just didn't play vanillas in it and just utilize
just kind of use the effect every now and then. Just kind of
I've tried to make it work, but it's very tough. I would put Sanji in D tier personally, and I think Crocodile is towards. If Crocodile isn't an S tier, I think he's very high A tier. I don't know why you're not putting Law in S tier, but like
I got him at the top. I mean, I'll put him at the bottom of it. I feel like there's just so much luck involved in Law. Like that'll be like to me like
but like people like you could also just like be really good with Law and just beat so many people. You know?
Yeah. There's luck involved with Law, but also there's like a very high consistency of luck involved with it. Where you have to hit your searchers, but
you also have to dodge your bad matchups, right? I don't know, like
it doesn't really have like any bad. Like the only bad matchup it has is like Rebecca.
Yeah, it's Rebecca and Kuro.
Yeah, Rebecca, Kuro, and then like
I thought Queen was a bad matchup.
Sometimes
I don't think Queen is that bad.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's probably like a Law's favorite in Queen, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so too. I only think Queen is good if you go like 3,000 worlds into Red Rock into Mihawk into Mihawk into Mihawk,
and then have like 3 blocker triggers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. What about the rest of blue then? Well, let's get it out of the way. Croc. I think Croc
should be at the top of A. I think Croc should be at the top of A. Maybe S tier.
Better than Zoro or worse than Zoro?
I think it's better than Zoro right now.
I think it's better than Zoro right now, especially with somebody Katakuri out there.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, if Zoro plays like the event-heavy version, like that relies on Marco, Croc can get rid of Marco so easily right now, and it plays really good into Whitebeard. It plays great into Whitebeard and Rebecca. It can definitely beat Zoro. It loses to Katakuri and Law though, which is kind of tough. That's the only reason.
That's a really good Whitebeard matchup though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah. Nami is like fucking just annoying deck that like doesn't take any skill to play. So we just put it in its own category. And then
I think Nami's like A or maybe
Nami is good. Yeah, Nami's like in A somewhere.
Like to me, like Nami's the same as Croc, like for like 99%.
No, Nami's in a completely different deck.
Really? No, because like you could just play.
It's just like I mean, it's not really like One Piece though. Is the thing. So like,
you're
putting it into your.
But like I feel like you could play like a normal Nami, like a very like Croc type Nami, and instead of the leader effect, you're playing like Nojiko's instead, and you're doing the same thing that Crocodile does.
I know a guy that does that, but it's still like.
No, you're playing like 40 events, and then
You're playing like Kaya, Brickfist, Kaya, Overheat.
So what
and,
are we?
like, that's,
We're
like, the
with Big
entire deck.
Mom. We're at B with Big Mom. B for
No,
Big
no,
Mom.
I think it's an A, but I don't
I
think
think
it like
it's
is. I think it's in its own tier, like Evan said. And then I
It's
think
its own
Dofi.
deck, alright.
I think Dofi's like.
B.
I think Dofi's no, I think Dofi's probably in B as well. I meant Film Dofi. I think Film Dofi should be a little bit higher. I think it should be like side by side to Queen.
I can agree with that. I was sleeping on Queen, and Evan kind of woke my eyes up to like what Queen can do. But I was also like, I'm kind of like against the hype of Doflamingo. Like maybe because I'm just like Evan said, like against the film package being the way to play this deck. Like I feel like people are going to discover the true green purple combos, and that's.
I think that there's.
Well, it's not the Don Quixote version. I'll tell you that. It's not that version.
No, have you tried that?
Yeah, it's not. It's not good.
Honestly, the Don Quixote version does better against Queen than the film version.
Yeah, but how many queens are you really going to be playing though
I don't
in
know.
a tournament?
It depends on how well it starts getting popular, I guess. But
The film Dofi version is just so much better into like Whitebeard, which is like the best deck in the game right now, and it definitely can beat Law. I think it's 50-50 with Law. So and I also think it's 50-50, maybe favored into purple into Katakuri too. So I think
I
Dofi's
feel like the
just,
film version has a good matchup against Zoro. No.
yeah, it does that. It does too. Just because it has access to Sugar, Uta, and Punk Gibson. I think it's a really good deck.
Yeah, I'll put it. I think right next to Zoro makes sense because, like, yeah, like with all the blockers and all the the suspending removal that they can put out, and the Uta blocker, if they don't Fire Fist or Jet Pistol the Uta away, the Uta just kind of takes the game away from you as Zoro.
Yeah, I could see that. They have to like Gordon Fire Fist like to even
and that's
have a
already
chance, I
3
think.
cards just to get rid of an Uta because
Yeah.
you're not going to get rid of.
And their Marcos like don't do anything. What are they going to pop a Buena Festa?
Mhm.
That just like doesn't do anything.
I guess their best play is Gordon, the Luffy, and then Fire Fist away, an Uta Luffy combo. Like they have a solid answer, but it is 3 cards that you're getting rid of for 2. So kind of yikes.
I don't
It's
know.
like your biggest
I
combo.
think
I don't know.
I think Dofi is like should be ahead of Zoro, but we can just move on to like other decks.
Okay.
all right,
The
before you
Blurple.
accidentally leave those there, definitely I know Hart over here or Joey is really into the Blurple, but I think Kaido is in B and Croc is in C.
I think
Wow.
Croc. I would honestly put Croc at the bottom of B, but I would leave. Man, I think Kaido is good, man. I think y'all are sleeping on Kaido.
I want to like Kaido too. Like,
Kaido is so
like Kaido would be
strong,
right
bro.
next to Dofi. For
Being
me.
able to get to like 10 Dawn when your opponent's at like 6, and then just like blow. Like he's like just as high rolly as like Katakuri. You know.
Katakuri has like a consistency level involved with it though, with the fact that you're always going to have a 7k swing and that you can manipulate your life to like add more consistency factor in it. Also, it's just like Kaido, if you're playing Island turn 2, then you're playing Island turn 2, but if you miss it turn 2, then it's like,
True.
Yeah,
It depends
it's
on the
always
list too.
holding them back,
Some
yeah.
lists aren't playing Island. I'm playing Island in my list. The thing is, like, obviously Katakuri is way better than Kaido. There's no
Oh, yeah.
denying that. But Kaido's ability to like go like Mihawk into Rush Kaido because you're going to be at 9 Dawn after the first Kaido with
Yeah.
Island is just so strong, and like you can catch like every, like you can beat pretty much every. You can beat Law like that. You can beat Whitebeard like that. Rebecca. Queen, because it's just so much tempo, and like if they get rid of your cards, they're spending 6 Dawn to red rock a card that you're going to be playing the exact same, like you're going to be playing another one the next turn, and like just keep swinging like high numbers. I think it is a very good deck.
You really think there's
I
lists
think
like for?
I think there's something there with Kaido. I just like
And it has a
Evaluating
searcher now.
for
It has
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
searcher.
say you can
I-
search Island now, and it's 5.
Yeah.
It's a 5-card searcher, unlike what we get in yellow and black, right? Like,
Yeah.
who's a good searcher? I don't know. I'm okay with putting it next to the other like mid-tier dual
I
colors.
think it's good in B. I wouldn't consider it like in the category of A.
My problem with it is late game. Like when you like, unless like even if after like your 10 drop Kaido, like you basically don't have a leader effect anymore when it comes to the late game, and I feel like that's kind of bad.
if you're playing, like I play cards like Bullet, like you always will use Kaido's effect to ramp. So I don't know. I will let you guys put it in B, but I would personally have it a little higher.
Yeah,
I was definitely wrong about
Dofi or
Liberal
worse
Croc,
than Dofi?
I think it's better than Dofi.
You think it's better than Dofi? All right. Evan's not a Dofi stan.
I'll let you have it. If he wants me to put it in B, I'll let him put it at top of B.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
And then Nami's definitely A still?
Yeah, Nami's A.
Yeah, Nami's A. Yeah, Nami's really good.
What's the next color? Oh, I forgot this red one.
Yeah, Garb could probably be in like C. No, Garb's not D.
Okay, all right. We'll put it next to Luffy.
Yeah.
Garb's saucy. You can play like Buggy and discard like dead black events with a Fire Fist, you know, and like I don't know, that's like fair. You have Sabo now too. You have Red Luffy or Black Dressrosa Luffy. So like you got some cool cards you can play.
A lot of that's something I want. We're gonna have to wait and see because a lot of the Dressrosa stuff is leader agnostic, other than like the ones that are like, oh, suspend your leader or I don't think is there a card that's like requires you to be Rebecca?
I don't think any of the primary ones do. But no one's really playing the Dressrosa package. It's just like individual cards.
Gotcha.
Oh, well, like all the good stuff require you to have a Rebecca leader.
Really? Like even
like,
the Luffy
like
and
what?
the King Kong gun? No, and then
Kong gun, you have to have a Dressrosa character, but you don't usually play Kong gun like other decks.
You
could play Luffy and Sabo.
You can play the Sabo, but you can't, and then you can play the Luffy and the Sabo, but you can't play the stage, and then you can't play Kairos, which I think the stage is the thing that makes that deck a thing.
I think the Thunder Sword is pretty good too.
Oh yeah, I forget. It's a weird word, but yeah, it's like we translated it to Thunder Sword. Yeah,
Thunder Sword or something. It's like the black got those 3 cards that are pretty good. So I think Garp is fine in C. Anywhere is fine.
All right, we'll put him. We'll put him with Luffy, his grandkid. All right, purple Magellan. I think Magellan is always C.
I think it's in C as well.
Really?
It's B or C.
All right, I'm not going to argue that.
I want to put it in B just because I think it has a fairly good Whitebeard matchup, and if your deck has a strong Whitebeard matchup, then it deserves to be like a tier higher.
The problem is it just loses to like literally everything else.
Yeah, purple got like a little bit of buffs this set, like from the Sunday and stuff like that. I don't definitely think it's like an insane deck, but if you show up to a local event and then everyone there is like on Whitebeard, I can definitely see you like topping with it.
To me, it's better than Arlong. Like just off it like does the same thing Arlong does, like not the same thing, but it's like in the same like power level as Arlong, but it's not a 4-5 leader.
I think Arlong's better into Whitebeard than Magellan is.
No, for sure. I'm saying like over like their matchup spread. I feel like a Magellan versus an Arlong, you're probably gonna have the same spread against different decks. It's just Magellan's a 5 leader. So
yeah.
I think that's where it breaks it for me. And then King, I put at the bottom. No one played. Although King did get a top at the
Eggman event, right?
Yeah,
I think that's just like a skill thing. Like, I think like you're just if you win with King, I think you're just really good at the game. I think
he was just flexing. You can just throw in Kaido instead of King, and the deck does the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So we're leaving.
Yeah, he was flexing. He was flexing. Yeah, King's probably top of D.
Let's do more.
Shanks is probably the worst deck in the game.
You know what's really funny? I don't know if you guys know this, but they're at Knoxville. There is a Shanks player that showed up, and he went 3-0. Like he won his first 3 rounds.
Oh wow!
Everyone was like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Write that down.
Yeah.
So Kaido, though, I feel like Kaido has a good Katakuri matchup, and in a world where if like we ban Whitebeard and so to me, like if we ban Whitebeard, we have to ban the Big Mom too, or like limit it to 1. And in a world where like that happens, I feel like this Kaido is insane.
I don't
think there's a world where Kaido is above C.
Okay.
Like I'd be fine putting it into B tier, but in no worlds am I like putting it into A or higher.
Yeah, I think Kaido is like copium right now, at least until like the Commander set releases, and then maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized Ucha's not here. Ucha's in D, if anyone asks. I'm not quite
sure. In the S.
Yeah. Oh, Ucha's in S.
Yeah.
All right.
No, F.
F. Oh, okay. Well.
Nah, Ucha. If we're putting some of these down, like we gotta put Uta in at least like D or C.
I think Uda's in the same tier as like Shanks and like King. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
I think Uda's best quality is that it's a red leader.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a 5-life red leader that can play like red cards. So I think it's honestly like C. Iceberg is probably the worst deck in the game.
Really, I think. Oh, I mean,
you think Iceberg is?
I've played it a little bit, and I feel like it's got plays. Like I play the deck, and I'm like, I can do stuff. You know,
it deserves to be in D tier. Okay. You could make arguments of it not being the worst leader in the game, but it definitely does not.
Yeah, I think I think Iceberg would lose to every deck in D tier. To be honest with you,
I think it could beat VV.
I think it could beat
you're right. It might be able to beat VV, but I don't think it could be anything else. Just because VV can't attack as well. So.
Oof. And then Zephyr, those last purple deck.
Probably C,
I think
right?
it's C. The people in my group put it in B tier. They were saying that deck is insane and super slept on.
I think it like auto loses to blue, but I think it could beat other things. I think it loses to like.
Oh, they threw it in C. Never mind.
Yeah, I think it loses to like Law, blue, just because like if you red rock their Kuzan after their combo, it's like what do they do after that?
Zephyr wasn't even good enough for Joey to put it on his list.
Yeah, I only put like
it's dead.
Relevant
it's
list
in dead
there.
tier. It's
in dead tier.
Oh yeah, dead tier. Yeah, I think I would personally put it in D, but I think you guys like it a little bit more than I do.
I just like black.
Yeah, so C's fine.
Yeah, like I don't know, like for me, like I have a good heart for decks that actually have plays, and Zephyr has plays. Like you establish.
I think Zeph is cool. Like I love the deck. I just think it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good either.
Yeah,
I think if you're going to be running around as a 5 or 4-life leader, you
have to like Law and Rebecca are the standard for that now, right? Like,
yeah.
Or even like
and then
Queen.
Look at Queen. Like Queen's a 4-life leader, but is it really a 4-life leader?
But that's what
really.
So my argument for 4-life leaders has always been they have to make up the fact that they are 1 life down and / 1 card in their hand down the entire game.
Yeah.
And so
also, you said Rebecca. Rebecca's a 5-life leader.
Oh, my bad. I like I'm still used to the fact that like I see 2 colors, that means 4-life leader. And Rebecca and Vivi are different.
I think
you get Dofi because Dofi plays at 12 Dawn, and then Queen isn't realistically a 4-life.
Well,
leader.
Dofi also has an engine that like generates it more cards, right? And it plays like the blockers to support it, and then Queen is able to heal that extra life, so it's playing like it's not really a 5-life healer anyway. And then Crocodile, same thing. They're playing 8-drop Crocodile, so they're basically playing a 5-life, ideally, or they're playing like the purple yellow combo is actually pretty good. Kaido. With that said, I don't know. Kaido doesn't.
That's why I was like, but especially a fucking blue purple croc, or the blue purple croc. But it's fine. We don't need to sit here and stare at them all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the 3 other B tier leaders are the 3 right next to each other, and it's Lucci, Isho, and Kid. I think those are all B tier leaders right there.
I think Isho is A tier.
You think Isho's A? I can see a world where Isho is A tier, so I'm definitely okay with.
I think maybe Isho's A tier, and then the other mono black leaders are B tier.
I like Isho a lot, and I want to see him succeed. I just don't see him beating like a lot of other decks.
I really like Isho. I've been like hard playtesting that card. I think it's insane. I definitely think that like you need to find the list, but I think black and green is such an amazing combination, and Isho is a really good card.
Even at our locals, we've had an Isho like show up and like actually do pretty well with like an unoptimized
I love
list.
The color pool.
Yeah,
I love the color pool, and I think people will figure it out. So I was gonna put it in like the top of B tier, but I'm okay putting it in A tier.
For me,
I would put it in B tier and then stick Rob Lucci in A tier.
Rob Lucci, really? For me,
I think Isho is better than Lucci right now.
I think.
Go ahead.
It's just the 5-life leader is 5-life leader. You can't argue that. And then for the most part, the black leaders all are the same, give or take. And then
that's how I was gonna say. Like, I can't separate Lucci and Smoker in my mind. Like, it's
the only reason why I put Lucci higher is because it has a card pool to access that the other black leaders can't. Like, you can do air door stuff.
Completely agree. And Lucci's better into Whitebeard than Smoker is personally.
So Luffy Sakazuki, I think Luffy's showing up. Like it got second or something at the European event. Up.
Garrett's been.
I don't know how. I think that deck is so cheeks.
I think that deck's actually pretty good. Garrett was playing it against me last night. We have it on stream actually. I think the deck was pretty cool. It does bad against yellow, but I think every black deck does bad against yellow, so it's hard to like, put it there. We streamed on Facebook.
Oh man, never mind. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. No, I've played against it. Like being able to like it does this thing where it can establish like, you know, a 6-drop Sakazuki and then still give your leader Dawn. And then
I think the one of the selling points for Luffy is that like if you're playing as Whitebeard, you pop their 4-drop on their board,
and then you can still attack. Yeah,
Luffy, and then you for 6 still. I think that's like the largest selling point for Luffy.
Yeah, so no, I kind of agree with it being somewhere in B. Like I'm kind of giving up ordering all of them, but even the starter deck Sakazuki, like I feel like that's
I think
like
Sakazuki's horrible.
I think it's horrible, but I think it just kind of does the same. Like it's a 5-life black leader, and it just kind of puts it on the same tier as like the Luffy and the Smoker, in my opinion.
I'd put him in C because I think Smoker's ability to just like attack at 7,000 pretty consistently is just better. And obviously Lucci has access to the CP9 color pool. Sakazuki, like you have to play your deck way differently than every other black deck just because like you gotta like play around using your leader's effect consistently.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same Katakuri Big Mom thing, right? Like you just might as well be Smoker. Anything like any cards you have access to, you're like Smoker.
Well, there's
right?
There's like there's definitely cards that would you'd rather play Big Mom than Katakuri, but I don't think there's like any cards you'd rather play Sakazuki than like Smoker.
Yeah.
Because Big Mom has like the cool little like life manipulation. She has like the homies if you decide to use like Zeus or something for banish. Like she's got some like cool little like combos, but Sakazuki like
I think you could build a Sakazuki, a Smoker, and a Luffy deck, and then you could just alternate the leader. Like you could build one mono black deck, and then you could play with.
But if you do, my point is, if you do that, you would rather be Luffy or Smoker every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. There's never a time where you're like, oh, I'm versing Zoro. I guess I wish I was Sakazuki. You know, like.
I mean, that's like the one matchup that you'd probably rather be Sakazuki.
If you didn't have to discard a card, he'd actually be, I think, better. I think he'd be the best black leader in the game if you didn't have to discard a card.
I mean, that's black in general. I think that's their biggest issue right now.
Or you just discard a card and didn't have to tap 3.
Like what CP9 and Rebecca are doing, like using the grave to like fuel their effects is a way better mechanic than what these early black decks were doing, where like the discard.
Yeah.
Like,
I also have that Kobe that came out in the Luffy trial deck. That card's insane.
Yeah, I love that. The 4-drop Kobe, I love it, especially in Isho. I think it's really good.
I think that card's really good in Isho as well.
Yeah, super good.
Green, Odin, bad. Kiminimon, bad. Kuro, probably the same
probably
place.
In B.
Yeah.
I think Kuro is very underwhelming, but there's so many Kuro stands at my locals that like I'm just gonna throw him a bone, put him in B.
Well, like the combo, right, Evan? Like you were saying.
Yeah, like East Blue combo is good. Like I think it was a lot better last set because you saw a bunch of Zoro players, and I think that deck, like doing that, was really good against Zoro and even really good against Law. I think the fact that we're not going to be seeing as many Zoros, it's not as good. But I definitely think Kuro is something to like warrant to possibly play. Not that I think you'll do good with it, but there's reasonings behind the deck.
All right, that's fair. No, and then I don't know. Kinemon is obviously better than Odin, but like I don't know. Like to me, there was so much hype for this leader, and then it just did nothing.
Yeah,
I think you would either be the top of C tier or the bottom of B tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Kinemon?
I completely agree with that. I mean, he's definitely better than Sakazuki, that's for sure.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, it's whatever. Yeah, wherever you want to put him is.
Yeah, we can put all the green ones together. Whatever. I'm not too worried about the order too much.
And Lol, Luffy, and
this is the one. Oh, man, these are the 3 that like everyone's like really excited for. Oh my god, will they change the
I think Luffy's S tier regardless of any like.
I do not think Luffy is S tier.
Really?
I think Luffy is really, really, really good in Japan because that deck, the entire WinCon, if you look at the deck list, is Turbo 9-Beard. And we have it at 1 and they have it at 4. They play Turbo 9-Beard with 4 Radical Beams, and that's all that deck does. And they cannot do that in America. So that's not
okay. I see your point. If the ban list stays the same, I could see a world where it being at A tier, but I still think it's S tier. Like 6,000 liters are great. And like having access to purple and red, I think is just so good, man. I think it's
for me, the way the way this leader performs will decide whether or not 6K leaders are just fundamentally flawed or not. Because to me, like the big part, there are two things about Whitebeard that make it impossibly strong. And it's the fact that it's 6K, inherently making all 50 cards in your deck 1K worse is insane. Even it just makes your leader worse. Just by placing a Whitebeard down on across from you, your leader is instantly worse. Right? That's insane. And that Luffy has that effect too. The problem, like the nerf, is that it's a 3 life leader. It gets to play with 3 cards less than Whitebeard. And the question will be, is that enough?
That's like, yeah, like does that even matter? Like 3 cards when he's still a 6K leader?
I really think that does. Like Whitebeard's a 6 life leader. That's such a drastic change between 3 and 6.
But like, you're only doing like 2 life with Whitebeard anyway. You know?
Yeah, because everyone, you can play against Whitebeard and be like, I don't care about you. But Luffy being at 3 life is definitely going to matter. You can rush that deck down pretty fast, and I definitely think that's the biggest selling point to make it good in Japan was the fact that you would ramp in a 9-beard, and I think that you are not going to be able to consistently do that, and you're also just going to be able to probably stall out a single turn of it.
Well, also, like, you can ramp and just, like, play the kid and make him a 7K leader.
Oh, true. And then isn't the kid, the kid, never mind. I thought you said Law.
So, like, he's, like, pretty much, if you can get the kid out and, like, keep him out, he always is a 7K leader. And especially if you get the one Whitebeard out, then he's, like, a 9K leader. So I just think that, like, you're going to have so many 2Ks and, like, blockers to, like, deal with Luffy just, like, innately swinging, like, 6 or 7 every turn. I think it's just really strong.
Yeah.
I think that Whitebeard is just going to be better than it because it doesn't, like, Luffy would have been really good if we had the ban list that Japan has, but because of that, the deck's going to fall really short in the format and everyone's just going to stick on Whitebeard.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that just yet.
This is more just talking about like what these leaders could do, and for me, the Whitebeard Luffy discussion is really cool.
I could see Whitebeard being still better than Luffy, but I could also see Luffy being better than Whitebeard in certain scenarios.
And then
it's kind of like Zoro and Luffy in like set 1 and 2. Yeah. It's like
my problem is that like so you inherently are just like kind of a bad Whitebeard. So what are you gaining from it? And the biggest selling point is that you now have access to purple, which I think purple is the worst color in the game.
You're also not taking your own life.
Well, right? It's just that kid. Like, that kid being able to put you at 7 is just ridiculous. And, like, like Whitebeard doesn't have an answer for that. Or, like, Whitebeard can't get rid of that card. Except for, like, Round Table or something. Or, like, Round Table Robin. But, like, basically, you're making Whitebeard a 5K leader when you have that kid out because you're at 7. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you can get there pretty quickly.
You get access to aces, and you can't play ace and Luffy.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know just yet, but
yeah.
I could see it going either way.
The questions out there for these decks. Like for me, like it's just like
I think Law will be A tier.
Yeah, I think they're all like even the kid.
And then I think the kid is going to be like C.
Oh, the kid's that bad? I haven't looked into the kid. It was mostly
the kid is a little bit better than that, but I agree. I agree with the A tier with Law. I think Kid probably be B, but I could see Kid topping at a couple of, like, tournaments.
Maybe. I just, like, when you're looking at those 3 leaders, I'm like, why would I ever play Kid?
Yeah, I think that
I said the same thing on the Small High Crew, actually. I said the same thing to Small High Crew. Like, Kid's obviously the worst, but he like, you could be, like, very aggro with him, so I could see him being in, like, mid B tier or something like that.
Yeah, because you have to ask, like, it's the worst of the 3, but you also have to ask yourself, is it better than Sakazuki? Is it Sanji? Where
I think it's better than that, yeah.
Right, yeah, like, I can kind of see it being, like, it's just from being red, purple, and being, like a power crept leader, and, like, the meta in that format, like, you'll see more
but
kids.
Isn't it also a 4 power leader for most of the game?
It's a 4 cost until you're at 3 life, I think.
Yeah, it's your 4 power until you're at 3 life.
But so what is it? It's Dawn -1, gain 2,000 power or something like that?
Yes.
Which I think is pretty good. You know, like, closing out games, I think that, like, just having an extra 2,000 Dawn or power is pretty good. But I could also seeing it just be, like, really shitty. I don't know. It depends on what the meta's looking like, personally.
Yeah, you gained only for the turn though, but
yeah, just for the turn. But like, you'll be a 7K leader, or technically, like, with 2 Dawn, you could be like a 9K leader. I don't know, like, I could see that being good into like Whitebeard or something like that, or Luffy.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, like, how are you guys feeling about this so far? Is there anything last minute changes? Do you feel like it's now that we have the information from the Eggman event plus the Knoxville event, do you think this is a more accurate representation than what you had previously, or nah?
Yeah. I mean, the beginning when you first make tier lists, like before the set releases, there's a lot of like copium and like who knows speculation, kind of thrown into that. This list is definitely like more like reasonable than mine. I didn't watch Worst Generations. I will after this, but
I mean, so my list is the conglomeration of my entire team, but also for the most part, I actually think this list is almost like exactly the same, except maybe like a couple B and C tier placements going around.
We have a lot more, like everything's more clumped up into the middle. Maybe
it's very bell curved, but I think like statistically that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I hope you guys had fun. I know we got to get going. It's a long video. I appreciate this. I always wanted to do one of these, and I don't want to do them alone, so I'm glad I got to have a Kissimmee winner over here, plus a competitive, huge YouTuber on my side for this. Thank you, Joey. Thank you.
Pleasure doing it. Hopefully one day I'll also be a champion.
All it takes is for you not to whiff a search all day playing Whitebeard.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I did not whiff a single search that day, and
congratulations.
Yep, exactly.
I was talking to one of my friends, Trevor, he's like friends with the Small Hat crew at the regionals, and he was like, like if you play Whitebeard, you have such a like better chance. Like if you want to like get your invite, just play Whitebeard. And I was like, damn, I should have just played White, because I played Zoro at the Orlando regionals, and I had 11 cards in hand and had no counter against a Whitebeard, so I got bubbled out of top 64. But I should have just played Whitebeard.
Yeah, it's just a consistency pick. If you're a good player, the deck will just definitely you're always gonna have playable in that deck 99% of the time. So.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario for Whitebeard is you're still demanding a 2k counter every time you attack.
Yeah. Worst case scenario is that you're a 6 life leader. So a 6 life leader, 6k power, and you can just have nothing in your hand, leave 3 open, and your opponent goes, "Oh, I can't win this turn."
Yeah, literally. That sucks.
Well, we'll wrap it up.
Right.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me too.